Welcome back to Data Farms, and I know you miss me a lot. I also miss you guys, and today we have a very strong topic to talk about. If this is the first time of joining us, please subscribe to this channel, like the video, comment in the comment section, and also share to others that are very passionate about poultry farming. Today I have a very serious task, and that task is to let you know the difference between a cage system and also a deep litter system, as to which of them is more favorable for you as an individual. And that is why today I've dedicated my time to explain to you in details the difference between these production systems. Kindly listen to me to the end of this video, and if you have any questions, you can put them down in the comment sections. The battery cage system and the deep litter system are the two most populous system of rearing birds. A lot of farmers have been arguing as to which of the production system is the best. So let me explain to you the details of each of these production systems. Now, we have a deep litter system, which the birds have been raised on the floor, and normally we provide bedding materials to the birds. Most of the bedding material that we provide to the birds is mostly made up of straw, wood shavings, or any other material that will be favorable for the birds. And now the birds have been raised in a confined area, at least 1.84 to 2 square feet. These confined areas are also being guarded by nets or wire gates to prevent the birds from going outside the premises. This is far different from free ranging, where the birds have been allowed to forage and also scavenge for food. The deep litter system is an advanced form of free range, and with this the birds have been provided with feed and also with water 100%. There is also a regulation of the lighting system, and also ventilation is also assured depending on your structure. So with the deep litter system, the birds are allowed to roam freely within the confined area. And what is a battery cage system? A battery cage system is a system of rearing whereby the birds are being kept in the cubicles, and these cubicles are mostly made up of wire mesh. The normal cage system that I know, they are either the A type or the H type, and mostly the heights go as high as 4 tiers. We have some that goes as high as 5, but then the normal ones that I know, the height is 4 tiers. And now with the cage system, the birds are kept in the numbers of 3 to 6. Feed and water is supplied to the birds, and also there could be a semi-automated or an automated system or a manual system whereby the feed is being provided to the birds. Light is also being regulated. Ventilation has to be regulated. If it is an open structure with a battery cage system, there is a need to have a raised ventilation to allow the inflow of air within the premises. So battery cage systems, the birds are not allowed to move freely as compared to the deep litter system. So with the battery cage system, because the birds are being kept in cubicles, they are restricted to a lot of activities. So now I have various parameters and determinants as to which of them will favor you. First thing I'm going to talk about is the cost. In battery cage system, it is much costlier as compared to a deep litter system, because the structure, the cages, the system itself is an expensive one. So the initial cost is always expensive as compared to the deep litter system, where you only need to have the structure and also other equipment such as the feeders and the drinkers and the lighting system to be able to raise the birds. With the battery cage system, most of the structures are very expensive, from the wire gates to the drinkers to the scraper and any other materials that are being used within the system. So initial cost of a battery cage system is very expensive, but then at the longer run it can be cheaper. That is what brings me to my next determinant: production. In battery cage system, production is efficient. In fact, your birds can reach as high as 97 to 98% of production, as compared to a deep litter system whereby you may be limited to 90 to 93 or 94%. So the peak in the battery cage system is much higher as compared to a deep litter system. However, don't get it wrong, the persistence of lay in a deep litter system is much higher as compared to a battery cage system, and that is what a lot of farmers do not take into consideration. Persistence of lay in a deep litter system is quite good or better than the battery cage system. However, with battery cage system, your birds can reach their peak within the shortest possible time, but then their persistence will start falling from their 7th week onwards. In terms of feed management, with battery cage system, less feed is being wasted. because the structure has been designed to prevent feed wastage. It is little to minimal, but in the deep litter system, feed, which covers almost 70% of the total cost of production, is mostly wasted because most of the feeders do not support feed wastage. In terms of disease, in the deep litter system, birds easily transfer disease among themselves because they freely move about in the structure, and also because they have access to their fecal matters. So you might be dealing with coccidiosis, you might be dealing with worm issues most easily in the deep litter system. Then if your litter is very dry and if your hygiene is very good, your birds will be able to build active immunity against most of the disease. There is minimal transfer of disease through the fecal matter because the birds do not get in contact with their fecal matter. And also disease spread out can be a little minimal as compared to the deep litter system because the birds are in cubicles. If you are very observant, you can know where the disease is emerging from, and that is where you can shut down the rate at which the disease is moving. Disease control, battery cage has the advantage, and the deep litter also have the advantage. With labor, battery cages tends to give you a much more less labor as compared to a deep litter system. In fact, if you just have 2 people, they can be able to work within 10,000 birds. Whereas in the deep litter system, there is a need to have additional number of workers to be able to supply your birds with enough feed and water. The battery cage system, most of the systems are already automated. So then the workers will always be there to collect the eggs. But mostly feeding is automated, the water system is also automated. In the deep litter system, it is quite common that the water system might be automated, but with the feeding, it's quite manual. So then you need the presence of workers to be able to feed your birds. So with labor, the deep litter system is much more expensive as compared to the battery cage system. Now there's another criteria determinant, which is the space. So in the battery cage system, you can raise birds within a confined area. Supposedly, you can raise more birds within a restricted area as compared to a deep litter system because of the systems have a 4-tiered elevation where birds will be arranged in a vertical order and also restricted of their movement. But then in a deep litter system, the birds are being allowed to move freely within the premises. So then more space is needed for their activities of the birds. So in terms of space, the battery cage system wins hands down. In terms of stress, in the battery cage system, the birds are more stressed than the deep litter system because the birds are being confined in the area whereby they are not allowed to move, and then there is less mobilization of calcium within their bones. In fact, most of your birds will be suffering from leg issues because they are not being allowed to freely move or to exercise. So that is a very critical determinant that you should be very careful about. Stress. Most of the birds that have been stressed, they end up with mortalities if they are not being managed well, especially with heat stress and others. But with the deep litter system, because the birds have been allowed to move freely, there is a lot of dissipation of heat within the body of the birds, so they are less prone to heat stress. So basically that's the difference between these two systems of rearing of birds. I've given you enough parameters and determinants as to which of the system will be favorable to you. The battery cage system is much more expensive. The initial expenses is very high, but then at the longer period, because there is less wastage of feed, you are not going to incur a lot of waste. At the longer period, you are going to save a lot of feed, as in feed wastage. The battery cage system might be the best one for you, but then the deep litter system has always been the traditional system which has been favorable to most of the farmers. If your initial capital is not too good, you have to consider a deep litter system. Grow with it in the future if you want to have a battery cage system, and that is where you have to go for it. Don't rush yourself into a battery cage system because the system needs its expertise. In fact, in the battery cage system, most of the farmers find it so difficult to dispose the fecal matters of the birds because it smells so bad. But in the deep litter system, because the fecal matter mixed with the bedding material, it's quite easier to dispose or to get rid of them if your managerial practice of your litter system is very good. Deep litter system can be very favorable to you. So now the choice is yours as to how much capital you have and which of the system will be favorable for you. And that is why today I've apportioned a lot of time to explain to you these two most popular systems of rearing. Please hit the subscription button, like this video, as I always deliver insightful videos which relates to poultry. Thank you and have a very good day.